Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off our session today on mastering the art of effective listening in the classroom. Today, we'll explore different ways of listening and how enhancing these skills can make a real difference in teaching and learning. We'll cover the key types of listening, practical strategies, and how to apply them in your daily interactions with students. So, let's get started and discover how becoming better listeners can transform your teaching experience. Allowing appropriate responses to students is a crucial part of effective teaching. It not only encourages engagement, but also helps students feel heard and valued. Building deeper personal connections with students can make a significant difference in their learning experience, creating a classroom environment where they feel safe and supported. Additionally, being attentive to language errors as they happen allows us to address misunderstandings quickly and help students improve their communication skills. It's important to remember that responding in these ways is a conscious choice. It's not something that happens automatically. Developing this habit takes awareness and practice. And of course, listening is an essential teaching skill. Truly listening to students enables us to understand their needs, misconceptions, and perspectives better. When we prioritize listening, we're more effective in guiding and supporting their learning journeys. So, in the context of this presentation, keep in mind that intentional responses and active listening are key tools in creating a classroom that fosters growth and connection. Now, let's take a closer look at the 3 distinct types of listening that are essential to understanding different communication contexts. First, we have casual, everyday listening, which is what we often do when chatting with friends at a cafe or catching up informally. This type of listening is relaxed and focused on enjoying the conversation. Next, there's supportive listening, which is more student-focused. Here, the goal is to listen with empathy and genuinely understand the message being conveyed, often to offer support or encouragement. Finally, we have teacher-focused or analytical listening, where the emphasis is on identifying errors and ensuring language accuracy. This type of listening requires a more critical and detailed approach. Recognizing these different types helps us adapt our listening strategies depending on the situation, which is fundamental in improving our overall communication skills. All right, let's talk about the key points on this slide. First, you'll notice the phrase, the everyday approach. This really highlights the idea that effective listening isn't about formal, complicated techniques. It's about making it a natural part of our daily interactions. Next, we have conversational listening, which emphasizes that listening should feel like a normal, relaxed conversation. It's about being present, attentive, and genuinely interested in what the other person is saying. You'll also see the mention that hijacking is allowed. What that means is that it's okay to steer the conversation back when needed, but always in a way that keeps the focus on understanding rather than dominating. The focus here is on replying thoughtfully, not just waiting to speak. We tend to drift in and out of conversations, but the goal is to stay engaged and attentive, kind of like chatting casually at a cafe. Ultimately, this slide is about making listening a natural, everyday habit, something that happens effortlessly in our conversations. It's about connecting with people on a real level, which supports the overall theme of developing stronger communication skills. Let's take a closer look at slide 5. The goal here is to prioritize accuracy over fluency. This means that when we're teaching or practicing, we want students to focus on getting the language right first and foremost, rather than just speaking quickly or smoothly. Next, we see that our approach follows the teacher's agenda. This helps us stay organized and ensures we're covering the key points that matter most in each lesson. We also analyze communication problems. By identifying where students struggle to convey meaning, we can target those areas specifically to improve their overall language skills. Focusing on grammar and vocabulary is essential because these are the building blocks of clear, accurate communication. When students master these, their confidence and clarity naturally improve. The teacher's lens is a reminder that we need to view student errors and progress through a professional, constructive perspective. We're here to guide and support, not just to critique. Finally, we emphasize analytical listening. This involves actively listening to students' speech with a keen eye for detail, picking up on errors, patterns, and misunderstandings, so we can provide precise feedback and help them improve. All of these points connect back to our overall theme. Effective teaching involves a careful balance of attention to detail and understanding of communication processes. Prioritizing accuracy helps students build a solid foundation for fluency in the future. Now, let's talk about how to handle errors to ensure our communication is correct. First, accuracy is key. We want our language to be correct so that our message is clear and professional. However, sometimes making minor errors can actually help encourage speaking and build confidence. That's where ignoring errors can be useful. By not focusing too much on every mistake, we create a more relaxed environment for practice. Next, fluency is all about how smoothly we speak. It's important to aim for natural, flowing speech, even if there are small errors along the way. For example, imagine saying, "I am going to make my homeworks this night." It's not perfect, but it gets the point across and allows us to practice speaking without overthinking. So, when deciding whether to focus on accuracy or fluency, ask yourself, is the goal to be correct or to speak confidently? Often, a balance between the two helps us improve overall. Remember, the key is to communicate effectively while gradually improving both accuracy and fluency over time. Tonight, I want to talk about some common mistakes we often encounter when learning English, especially with word choice and verb usage. First, let's look at the phrase "this night." The correct way to say it is "tonight." It's a simple change, but it makes your speech sound more natural. Next, there's the issue with homeworks. Many people think they should add "ins" to make it plural, but homework is an uncountable noun. So we say homework regardless of the amount. Then there's the mistake of using make when we should be using do. For tasks like homework, we say do homework, not make homework. Another common error is the extra word be in sentences like "I am be going to," which is incorrect. The right form is "I'm going to." Finally, sometimes we include unnecessary verbs that complicate the sentence, like "I am be going to make my homework this night." The correct way is "I am going to do my homework tonight." By understanding these key points, you'll improve your fluency and sound more natural in English. Remember, small mistakes happen to everyone, but paying attention to these details helps you communicate more clearly and confidently. All right, let's talk about being helpful. When we're giving feedback, the key question to ask is, what will help them most? It's really about prioritizing. Think about the context, the lesson aims, and the student's confidence level. These factors guide us to focus on the most impactful errors to address right now. Remember, it's tempting to want to fix everything, but that can be overwhelming. So, choose the most useful correction, what will make the biggest difference for the student today. Keep in mind, you may notice many errors, but you can't fix them all at once. That's why it's so important to decide what feedback to give. Step 3 is all about determining what to focus on so that your feedback is clear, constructive, and manageable. This approach helps the student improve without feeling overwhelmed, and it keeps your teaching targeted and effective. Today, I want to focus on the goal of empathy and understanding, which is so vital in effective communication. The key here is to stay with their story. Really listen to what the person is sharing without jumping ahead or making assumptions. It's important to overlook language errors, especially when working with students who might be still developing their language skills. Our main focus should always be on the person and the message they're trying to convey, rather than on perfect grammar or vocabulary. Understanding the student's agenda is also critical. What are they hoping to communicate, and what do they need from us in that moment? Supportive listening plays a huge role here. It means giving our full attention, showing that we genuinely care, and making space for them to express themselves. All of these points tie back to the overall theme of building trust and connection. When we approach conversations with empathy and patience, we create a safe environment that encourages open communication and mutual understanding. All right, let's take a look at slide 10, which is all about our improvement strategy. The key idea here is to ask ourselves, where am I? And then to move one step to the right. Think of it like a simple game, By checking in with yourself and then making a small shift, you can improve your listening skills. This slide emphasizes the importance of clearing your mind and listening with your whole body. It's not just about hearing the words, but really engaging your attention fully. When you do that, you're in what we call full attention mode. That's where true understanding happens. Now, we also want to be aware of the different levels of listening. On this continuum, we start at a low point, being distracted, like checking your phone or watch, hardly paying attention. That's at the 0 mark. As you become more aware, you can move up to a more interested but passive stage, what we call conversational mode, where you're engaged but not fully immersed. The goal is to keep moving along this continuum. When you notice you're distracted, ask yourself, "Where am I?" And then, take that one step forward, shift into a more attentive state. It's a simple but powerful strategy to improve your listening every day. Remember, by continuously checking in and making small adjustments, you develop a habit of better listening, which is essential for effective communication. Now, let's focus on the idea of practicing supportive listening. The key point here is to really pay attention and see how your listening impacts their speaking. It's about being intentional and mindful during conversations. As you vary your listening attention along the continuum, you can deepen your understanding and engagement. For example, sometimes you might just listen passively, and other times, you might ask clarifying questions or give nonverbal cues to show you're engaged. Remember, in this exercise, you do not speak, just listen. This allows the speaker to express themselves fully without interruption. The activity involves a colleague speaking for 3 to 4 minutes on any topic they choose. During this time, your role is to listen attentively, facing them directly and eliminating distractions. This practice helps build supportive listening skills, which are essential for effective communication. When you listen well, it encourages the speaker to share more openly, and it ultimately improves your overall interaction. So, the main takeaway is that practicing supportive listening isn't just about hearing words. It's about truly engaging with what the other person is saying and understanding how your listening influences their speaking. All right, let's wrap up with a key takeaway. Better listening equals better teaching. When we improve our listening skills, we can better understand our students and respond more effectively. Remember, there are different types of listening to consider. Supportive listening is all about focusing on the person and their message, making students feel heard and valued. Analytical listening, on the other hand, involves paying close attention to language and accuracy, crucial for understanding content and assessing comprehension. Then there's conversational listening, which is casual and often used in everyday interactions. However, it can be inappropriate for classroom settings where clarity and focus are essential. The most important point here is to master all 3 types of listening. By doing so, we can adapt our approach to different situations, improve communication, and ultimately, become more effective teachers. So, let's keep these strategies in mind and continually develop our listening skills to enhance our teaching practices.